As we fly over my super tree nursery, let me take this moment to welcome you back to the Santa Ana Industrial Lead. This will be the December 2022 layout update. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Santa Ana Industrial Lead. Today's update will mainly focus on Santa Ana Street and some small projects I have been working on over the past month. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone to check out the Community tab in between videos. Here, I frequently post photos and project updates throughout the week, usually 1 to 2 times per week. As we begin the drone flyover, let me remind you that if you like the content on this channel, please hit the like button. Also feel free to subscribe and click the bell button to be notified when there is new content. Feel free to comment and ask questions below, and I try to answer as many as possible. Thank you. So as you can see, I've made a lot of progress over the last few weeks. Although there is still quite a bit to do, there's a lot of exposed cork that still needs to be covered with grass and dirt. A few more trees need to go in. Some structures here, down here to the left. The building to the left there, the police station, is just a stand-in. The houses still need to be completed, painted. So, like I said, there's still a lot to go. But it's nice to see some of these nice details added in here. It makes it look so much better when I go down to the train room. As I said, I still have quite a bit of work to do on these houses. They're just kind of partially built at this point. As I talked about earlier, I did build several batches of super trees over Thanksgiving week, actually. This is my first attempt at building them. They're pretty easy. Just trying to vary the colors and put some of those flowered ones together as well. So the first thing I got done since I did the last video was adhering all the streets to the foam, except these 2 pieces here because I'm still working the track. But everything else is adhered finally. I just said screw it, we're gonna put it down. It's not, I mean, it's permanent, but I can still rip it up if I need to. So that allows me, once I get it down, I can see everything, and I can also start drilling through it because all the details that I need to put on here, almost all of them, go right through this tree lawn section here, which is between the sidewalk and the road. It's going to be dirt or grass, but I needed it glued down to be able to drill through. So that's where all the poles will be, the lights, the signs, mostly everything will be. The trees, you can see I got some of those there, right there. So you see this, I know now it looks like sidewalk, but it's really going to be dirt and or grass and or leaf residue on both sides. And then some areas it's a double sidewalk. You'll see down there by the bus and then by the big building, which is kind of how it is with the prototype. And then I also, if you follow my community tab, I added about 2 inches here to the bench work because if you, I think I mentioned, I might have mentioned it last time, but my houses were sticking off the end. They were too big and I didn't want to cut it. To me, it was easier to add the 2 inches for most of this strip than to try to cut the houses down. So I kind of start rolling it back here, just kind of smooth, curve it back, because this is, I didn't really even care about this structure. It was more the houses, because this one I could cut. It's still going to be cut anyway, but, and then I didn't want this curve to be past the street because I didn't want to have to add a piece of street to that part. I still have to add one here and then here as well. So, but I'll probably be able to hide this a little easier with trees and whatnot than the main crossing street down there by the building. So that, like I said, that was the first thing I got done, which allowed me to do most everything else here. And I still was messing with another thing I learned, which if anyone else is doing these grade crossings, so it's probably best to use something like this, all-purpose construction adhesive, which is what I had purchased for the roads. That's what I had read to do. But then I was having some issues in certain areas with this stuff, the grade crossing kind of bowing up and whatnot. So I just put a real thin layer on the bottom where I was having issues of these, and sticks good, no issues. So just keep that in mind if you're doing, I mean, most people aren't doing 10 feet of street running like this. So it was very critical that I didn't have any issues with the train running. I've been working on these utility poles. Here are the items I used. Bamboo skewers. Picked them up at the grocery store. Rick's products. Cross arms. Some styrene tube, or rod, sorry. Styrene rod and some leftover parts from this kit. As you saw, I made this pole here, which on the street it transitioned from these more modern ones to the older ones right at this point. There's actually another one at the end of the bridge I'm debating on putting in. So included in the kit, it gives you the option to build several different types of these modern, what they call them, high tension towers. So I ended up using some of these pieces here, just snipped them off because I wasn't doing that style on my large one. And as you can see, I put them up top to match the prototype. I just drilled a little hole with a little hand drill. And the two Rick's towers underneath. I think the first time I did it, they were 8 feet apart scale, and then I put them a little bit closer. Couldn't really tell, trying to measure the picture online. And then I snipped off some of these little bulbs to match the prototype. And then below there's this little kind of upside down one with a small piece of wood. And then on this particular tower, or other, there's several different types, but it has these kind of gray plastic tubes. There you go. So I just got some styrene rod, and glued them on there. And then with a Sharpie, drew like the little lines, which would be the collars or whatever attaches them. So, oh, and the paint. So what I did was I first painted the skewer an acrylic light gray. The thinking was, I did it the same way I do my track, which is the way Lance Mindheim does his, but I did an acrylic light gray, and then I went to put a wash, or I put a wash over the top of it. Get better light here. But I think I went a little darker with the brown than I thought I would, because you can really not even see the gray. If you do a real super light wash, the gray can kind of show through on the, if there's any grain, but I don't know, there's not really much to see. And I did the same to the cross arms here. First gray, and then I did an oil wash Probably did two. I think I did two on both. And then after I glued them on, again, go over here. I painted all the little before I glued them on, I painted the little metal, like the metal gray. So the little cross arm things. Put it down here. Right there. And then the bulbs. And then there's like some white paint there. I do have to put some, I'm going to take some of the Smokebox Graphics tape and put it near the bottom because they have some reflective kind of tape on the ones that are near like the driveways and roads, so cars don't hit them, I'm guessing, at night. Here you can see one of the Woodland Scenics Just Plug streetlights. I still have to paint it. Oh, there's the light hub. I will be painting all those gray. I have one, like I said, one installed now. I have, I don't know, 12 to 15 more to install, but I need to see how they all kind of space out on the layout first. Here are some of the Tichy stop signs and railroad signs that I showed a couple of videos ago. All I did was took a micro brush and some flat gray paint and painted the back as well as the poles there. Here on these two trees I put some pink super leaf over the already adhered green super leaf with some hairspray. These are to represent, I believe they're crepe myrtles, some types of trees that are on the street. There you can see one of the manhole covers. They come with my chain link fence from Alcom Scale Models. I just painted them with a micro brush brown rust color. I've also been working on the transitions between the backdrop and the foreground. There are some Google Street images I pulled from some of the streets here in this neighborhood, and I just cut them and tried to size them correctly, and they're just sticking to the wall with some blue tack right now. They look decent, I think. I do have to hide some of the seams and stuff, and that one just has blue underneath. I still have to fix that. So we'll see. I might have. This is my first test run with these kind of transitions. So they look decent though, but I probably still need a little more work. So I think the next few things I'm going to work on the street part are finishing up this building or getting it started more or less. It's going to be like a 1x2 or 1x2.5 up here all around, and then I'll glue styrene to it, and then there's going to be styrene tube here, and then I'll print this out on photo paper, the window part, and then glue it on, and then so it'll have some relief with the styrene here with this. And then there's some like security cameras I see and doors. I'll probably try to put the security cameras on. There's one over here too in the corner, but so it'll be some relief, and on the photo will be the windows for the most part. And then I'll decide at some point if I want to try to scratch build it properly, but for photographing, I don't know, it almost looks good with just paper that I have here. And then I need to start painting some of these houses. The plan is to kind of paint them all brown first, kind of the Boomer method, brown, burn umber, and then come on top of that with the airbrush of the color of the house, color of the houses. Some of them, they're going to be pretty plain. I want to not emphasize the houses, but I just want to show that they're there. But you'll know they're there. So most of these houses will have a fence of some sort in front of it and kind of obscured. And I won't, so the two focal points will be this market here. It's not going to have anything in front of it because it's a unique structure on the street. And then that big building, which I just talked about over there. So those two I want to be the focal points of the street. And everything else kind of just slips away in the background for the most part. Little pops of color with the trees. You know, the road has some yellow. And then there'll be a nice green area right here. This is all just like a park, actually, for the school. So there'll be a couple trees and just nice greenery. So, and then there is the, I think I said before, the Anaheim Police Station. Right now it's just a old industry I have sitting there. But it's a brick structure, and there's a lot of trees right in front of it, so you'll see kind of staircases coming down where doors are, but it's still mostly covered. Kind of like this, where it's kind of obscured by the trees. I have a bus stop right here, and I'm still deciding what to put here because I want to try to block this turn in here. So yeah, we'll figure that out later. And then likewise, still have to put a house here and decide what I'm going to do here. In real life, it's a pretty big apartment complex. It kind of just runs near the highway, and it's all like out here. But not sure if I want to just, because it's like they have garages here for the cars or parking ports. If I want to do that or put a house, I'm still deciding. So I guess we'll see how it turns out. Kind of leaning towards maybe the parking ports to kind of give the impression of a big apartment complex. A little different than the houses, but we'll see. And of course the bridge, which I haven't even really touched since probably 3 or 4 months. Still need to weather it. I did fix the track a little bit, but I still need to permanently get this figured out so I can put the crossing the grade there. As you can see, it stops right here. And then also decide how I'm going to disguise the backdrop back there. In real life, it's a street behind those trees and then a park behind that street. So obviously I'm not going to have a street there. Don't have enough room. So I'll probably just try to give the image of some trees in the background. So and also coming soon is in this area. I think this is going to be my next target area to work on, because for one, the buildings are just flats and they're going to be they should be pretty easy to get up pretty quick. And then I want to ballast. I haven't ballasted anything, but I think I'm going to start here in this yard because it's pretty much all just ballast and then weeds and stuff in front, which I haven't done any type of weeds or grass on any layout yet. So I have like 10 or 11 days off during the break, Christmas break. So I think I'm going to do some of that here. And then after Christmas, I have a new plan for this area, which I'll talk about, assuming I get what I'm looking for that for Christmas. And then one more thing I'm going to do before the end of the year is do a kind of a year in review updated layout tour, starting at right about here, which is where the expansion started. It won't be as long as the other layout tour, but kind of just talk about how this, where I started and how far I've gotten this past year, because it was about almost a year ago to the day when I got the final plans for the new design. I didn't really start it until February-ish, late January, February. But I think I'm gonna just kind of cover what I've accomplished this year and then kind of a layout tour of all this part, obviously. And then of course down here, which has actually changed up quite a bit since the layout tour I believe I did earlier this year. It's actually quite different. So I want to put out just an update. I'll probably try to do maybe the layout tours once or twice a year just to kind of make them a little bit more efficient and better. So look for that before the end of the year.